I probably literally look like a glazed donut right now because I just did my skincare. So we're gonna pretend I don't look like a glazed donut for my sanity, okay? Hi guys, my name is Amelia Sky and welcome to Millionaires Club. Thank you so much for being here. If you notice, my background looks a little different. We'll get into that in a second. The noise around me in turn is also going to be a little different. So you might hear some things in the background. I apologize for that in advance. It might get a little noisy, both outside the apartment and inside the apartment. So I'll try my best to film and manage the noise levels whenever I can. So I took a brief hiatus. I actually posted a video a couple weeks ago about my running journey, and I had actually recorded that in 2025 despite posting it in 2026. And so the hiatus occurred in between recording that video and right now. I went home for the holidays after classes wrapped up here in Barcelona. And so I had the chance to go to St. Louis. I also went to Chicago, and I went on a family vacation to the Bahamas for a family member's 50th birthday party. So that was a lot of fun. I had a great time. I was there in the Bahamas for New Year's. And yeah, so I was kind of a little bit all over the place. Not totally all over the place, but a little bit of travel ensued, and I did not have the strength of the Black Panther to be recording, okay? So yeah, I took lots of pictures, which is not normal for me. I'm actually normally pretty bad at taking pictures, but I took a few. I've already shared some on Instagram, but yeah. But one cool thing that I'll mention in the Bahamas before I actually get into the main purpose of this video, sorry. I went shark diving. That was super cool. Would I do it again? I'm not sure that I would do it again because, like, I'm very much a YOLO, you only live once person, with the understanding that I only live once. So some of these, like, near-death adventure excursions only need to be done once because I only live once, okay? So yeah, but it was very cool nonetheless, and I'm really glad that I did it. What else has been going on? I have like notes here so I don't forget anything. Oh, I've been amping up marathon training. I gotta run a half marathon soon. I'll probably save that for next week. My long run this week was 10 miles, or technically last week. I'm a little bit off with my weeks. I've been splitting things up a little bit weirdly. So technically this week my long run will be 12 miles, and then next week I'll be getting into the half marathon. Am I excited for that? I don't know, but the marathon, the Barcelona marathon, might I add, is quickly approaching, and I want to be ready for it. So yeah, I don't have many positive things to say right now because my knee's been hurting, I'm tired, and I'm hungry all the time, and yeah, so we're gonna leave it at that. Anyways, the background. So I just moved. Why did I clap like that? I just moved apartments. So hold on. My chair did not want me to be great. I just moved apartments here in Barcelona. I previously was living a little bit far. At least what people here consider far, because it would take me about 40 minutes to get to class every single day. And now I'm truly in the city center, very close to bus stops, metro stop, and the convenience level has shot up. Okay, so I love the location. I love the apartment. I'm very happy here. And I wanted to talk a little bit about my moving process, how I found the apartment. Well, room. I do not have a whole apartment. I rent a room. Okay? So how I found the room here in Barcelona, what that process was like, and also talk a little bit about the moving process here as well. Sorry to give y'all the life update and blab a little bit if you really just came here based on the title. We're gonna get into that now. So let's talk about moving and finding apartments and rooms here in Spain. Let's get into, I think the children are free from school. Do you hear them screaming? Do you hear them screaming? It is what it is. Okay, let me wait. Okay. But before we get deep into today's topic, if you'd be so kind, you should go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe. But just a thought. Just throwing it out there. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's start off with how I found my apartment. So I used 3 platforms really to, honestly, sorry, before I even say that, I keep saying apartment versus room. I think it's important that I make the distinction again. I was searching for rooms in Barcelona, not apartments. Who can afford a whole apartment as a student? Be for real, okay? So I was looking for rooms, okay? Thank you. So let me start off by telling you guys a little bit about how I found my room here in Barcelona. I was looking for places on Facebook, Spot a Home, and Idealista, okay? So primarily Idealista because there were just so many more listings, and I liked the filter options on there. And this is just kind of anecdotally speaking, my own opinion here. It seemed as though more people were putting their listings on Idealista and other platforms, but if they weren't putting them on multiple platforms, they were definitely putting them on Idealista. So I was like, okay, cool. Besides that too, I also was scouring through certain group chats. So my university has a group chat. We have like a WhatsApp group. I feel like my body likes to choke when I'm trying to say things, and I don't appreciate that. Anyways, I looked in my university grad student WhatsApp group chat because people were sharing listings pretty regularly, especially during the winter months, okay? And I also looked in a digital nomad WhatsApp group chat that was specifically for housing in Barcelona. So Facebook groups were also, obviously that was another form of a group chat, I guess you could say, that I was looking in. But yeah, those are the main places. I ended up finding my apartment on Idealista. My search criteria. So when I was looking, I think that the big thing for me was location. I really wanted to be closer to the city. I did not want to be in the same location that I was at previously. It was just taking me forever to get to places, and forever, not really forever, especially as an American who used to commute to work. Like, it was about the same as my commute to work, a little bit more, but I felt as though all that time I was spending commuting was really taking away from my experience being here in Barcelona, okay? I wanted to be closer to my friends. I wanted to be closer to school. I wanted to be closer to my gym that I go to here. So that was a huge factor for me. The second thing, price, okay? This was very important for me. I was looking at places that were 650 euros or less, and then I just put it to 600 euros or less because I was like, girl, you do not even want to pay that. So yeah, which turned, I would say, about 600 euro. This is me doing a mental calculation, so do not take this as 100% fact right now. But that normally equates, after like fees and everything, when I'm like actually paying for rent or taking money out of the bank or whatever, about 700 US dollars. Okay, so important to me that we stayed in that range or less. I would say the third biggest thing for me was space. I was looking online, and there's a lot of apartments here in Barcelona. The rooms are so small in comparison to what I'm used to seeing a typical room look like. A lot of them don't even necessarily have like a full, in the US, what we would consider a full-size bed. They would have in the US what we would consider a twin-size bed. And not much walking room, not much storage space. I don't even have that many clothes here, in my humble opinion. Okay, I came here with 2 suitcases and a drink. Okay, so that had to fit all my clothes, all my shoes, etc. Now, since I've been home, I've been able to bring a few more things, but still wasn't even that much. And in terms of like shopping, I've bought a dress. I think I've gotten from Christmas gifts. Shopping here, I bought like a dress and 2 shirts. Like, I really don't shop here, okay? But in terms of, and in Christmas gifts, I got a couple articles of clothing, so I brought those over, but I needed space. So those are the big 3 for me. Now, some lower criteria things for me personally, I have to be able to envision myself living in this space. I am kind of the type of person, like, when I know, I know. And I felt this way when I was touring high schools, for example. I was looking at several high schools in the city of St. Louis, where I'm from. And I toured one, and there was literally a tornado drill, and something else went wrong, and something else went wrong. And I was like, I could literally see myself going here. So it's not necessarily about a place being quote unquote perfect. It truly is about me being able to visualize my life here and feeling as though my life would feel good here, that I would be comfortable. And so I was really, during my tours, focusing on that. Like, can I see myself here? Can I see myself getting ready for bed here? Can I see myself going to and from class from this space? Like, can I see my life here? So that's important to me. And that's definitely something that's more of like, I guess, intuition, and like, to some people that might be a little woo-woo, which it really shouldn't be, but I digress. Yeah, I want to be able to see my life there. So let's talk about the specific process, okay? From search to contact to tour to the decision. So the search. I was on Idealista every single day, multiple times a day, because there would be listings posted in the morning that could be gone by the next day. So I was on there every single day, multiple times a day, going through my saved searches, because on there you can like create your own zone to search apartments and rooms within, or create a certain list of filters and have a search that way. So I had several saved searches. They sent me email alerts, which I'm terrible at checking my email, so I wasn't even looking at those. I'm gonna be so for real. I was just going on the website. Actually, let me rephrase. I'm terrible about checking my spam and my Idealista account was connected to my spam email, okay? So I was searching for apartments morning, noon, and night all the time. And at the time when I was really looking for apartments, I was in the US. So my time difference was a little bit off. So I was really trying to make sure that I was online at the time in Spain when it was daytime. You feel me? Okay. After finding places, I would contact them on the site. So I would contact the person who had the listing on Idealista, okay? I never reached out to anyone on Spotify actually. I was using that more to find places and verify places that were listed on Idealista and said they were also listed on Spotify. I would go on there to look at the listing too. But I was mostly reaching out to people on Facebook and Idealista, okay? I'm reaching out to them. You can have like a pre-saved message on Idealista and just kind of resend that. So I wrote one in Spanish. I was communicating completely in Spanish. I was never messaging people in English. I thought that was going to be a deterrent for people wanting to write to me. So I was always communicating with anyone in Spanish unless they switched to English, okay? So I contacted people normally within the app. If they asked me to transition to WhatsApp, I would do so. And I always just immediately was about setting up a tour. Sometimes people were like very responsive and kind of immediately like, yay, okay, yeah, we'll set up a tour with you and it'll be this day and this day, this day. Other times people were slow to respond. I would just kind of keep messaging. If I didn't hear back within I'd say like 2 or 3 days, and try to get a tour set up. Continued inconsistency in communication was a sign to me that I don't want that apartment bad enough, okay? So then we get to touring. I would set up tours, right? So I was out of town, and then when I came back in town, I already had some tours set up. And when I came back in town, I also was continuing to try to set up more tours. Several people canceled on me. Several people just stopped responding. So I was like ghosted. And then other people agreed to tour with me. In total, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I saw 5 different rooms within shared apartment spaces. I would say in terms of the decision, I knew I had to decide within a week because every single place I was looking at, there was a lot of interest already. So it was very important for me to go see places in person. Had to see it in person, okay? Ask who the owner is. Very important to know who actually owns the space. And some people might lie to you, but I just kind of was relying on, I don't know, good vibes, I guess, to just be like, hey, is this your place? Do you own the place? And if they're like, yeah, I was like, okay. So that's probably, I'm not advising that y'all do that. I'm just saying what I did, okay? And so I toured this apartment. By the end of the day, I told her I want to like pay the deposit and get things moving. Scams and red flags that I looked out for. I actually, not that I was almost scammed. This girl tried to scam me, but it was very clear. I was like, girl, you're a scammer. I'm not falling for that. She wanted me to pay her to secure a deposit before even visiting the place. Absolutely not. This is on every single Reddit forum about Barcelona and Spanish housing, like, period. Don't send no money before you've seen the place in person. Like, what? Crazy. So yeah, I was immediately no. And then I looked on Idealista a few days later and her account was banned. So clearly people were reporting her because she was playing games. Other red flags that I would say I made note of. Yeah, the inconsistent communication. That was not necessarily like a deal breaker for me, especially because like people are busy and they're not necessarily checking the platform as much as I'm checking the platform. But the way that people were communicating with me also mattered. Like I remember one time, for example, I reached out to someone. I was like, hey, do you have any tours available? Or are you going to be touring the space? Da, 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 da. And they were like, hello. Okay. That's your response? That automatically was, I was like, oh. And then I reached out again. I was like, maybe they accidentally didn't send the rest of the message. So I reached out again. I was like, hey, I reached out a few days ago. Da 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 da. And they were like, hello, yes. See, because no, you should have been like, yes, here are the days that I'm available. Because I literally sent days that I was available. So yeah, that was a flag, red flag on the play for me. Also, people asking for a million personal details up front. I was like, girl, this is too much. There was some times where I was like, I get it. You just want to know if I'm a student and what my schedule is like so that you can get an understanding of how I will be in the space. That's fine. But there were some people who they were like, tell me about your parents. Tell me about this. Tell me about that. What's your favorite food? Where were you born? I'm like, girl, I'm not giving you all this information. This is too much. So that too was another red flag for me because I was like, babe, I haven't even toured space yet. We're not going to be doing this. Okay, so now I'll quickly talk about the differences between, at least some of the differences that I've noticed between here and the US. The biggest one being that people will sublet their room or their apartment, like the whole apartment. So they'll do that not just like for a month or 2 months, which I would say you'd see more typically in the US, like someone subletting their space for an extended period of time that's longer than like a month or two, right? I was seeing people advertise their space as available for a week at a time, a weekend at a time, days at a time. Okay. So this was also heightened because I was looking for a new apartment during the December holiday season. And so my search was flooded with, yes, like rooms available for extended periods of time from January, from February, for however many months, but also the listings of, hey, we have a room available for 3 days. Okay, so that was kind of annoying, not gonna lie. But that definitely is something that's different that I think and maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed it on the Reddit forums. Maybe I missed it in the videos I watched, but I did not see people talk about that as much. So that was something I wish I kind of knew because then sometimes I was reaching out to some people and I missed in a singular line stating that their apartment was only going to be for rent for 3 weeks in February. And I was like, oh, darn it. My bad, girl. Sorry for wasting your time. So that is something that's definitely pretty different compared to here and the United States. Yeah, paying with cash. I would say that there are some places where you will be paying your monthly rent. That's not totally unheard of in the US. I would say in certain situations it may be less common overall, but that's, I would say, maybe more common here in comparison to the US. Paying in cash, not having a contract, just kind of verbal agreements, shaking on it, that kind of thing. So I would say that is a bit more common here than in the US. I do have a contract, like a written agreement, and I pay electronically, which is fantastic. I moved in the middle of this month, so then that way I would have 2 weeks before my other lease ended at the end of this month because I'm moving out on my own. So what does moving out look like? It looks like taking that damn metro and that bus back and forth, back and forth. So yeah, I've made several trips already. I still need to go back. Probably I would say 2 more times. Once to get the final things out of the apartment, and then another time to make sure I go clean the space and that everything looks good. But yeah, public transit has been my bestie. I take the metro or the bus up there and either Uber back if I have too many things and it's too heavy and the prices are low. Or I Cabify. But I'm not taking no $20 ride to get that. No, absolutely not. So yeah, I take the bus or the metro up and sometimes back, or I Uber or Cabify back down with all my luggage and things. And yeah, it's been, I would say, a pretty chill process because I've given myself 2 weeks to do it. So I still have like another week, a little bit more than a week, like 8 days to continue to move out. So I feel very comfortable. I feel very good about it. Overall, I'm very happy in this new space. I do have 2 roommates now, but that doesn't really bother me. I feel like everyone is very friendly and like we speak to each other, but we also can mind our own business, and our schedules are all so different, so we're never really in each other's way. So it really works out. And yeah, I think that honestly the apartment room search felt a little bit like, is this how people feel in New York? Like you go to a tour, you like to tour a place, and then literally that day you have to make a decision because there's 50, 100,000 other people also interested in the same apartment as you. Because that's what it felt like here. I was like, I am in a rush. I'm rushing, searching through places every single day, morning and night, going through all these listings. I'm rushing to tour places, and I'm rushing to put an offer down because I'm like, dang, I need a place to live. But I'm really happy that everything worked out. I love this space. Seriously, it's so cute. The only downside, there's no elevator, but I'm on the 2nd floor. But there's still like, I counted the steps, guys. I needed to know. I feel like knowledge is power, and I needed to know. There's like 60 steps. And let me tell you, after my 10-mile run day, them 60 steps did not help nothing. Okay. But anyways, I love it here. I love this location. I love Barcelona. I think that I'll continue to post more about life here in Spain. I hope to, at least. I gotta get to class actually, so I need to get out of here, but it's been real. Don't forget, please, to like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, and like I just mentioned, I hope to talk a little bit more about life here in Spain, and especially grad school, what I'm doing, what I am working on, and what I see for myself in terms of the future post-grad. So we'll dig into that in a future video. But yeah, I seriously actually have to go to class. Like no games are being played right now. But I'll talk to y'all later. Okay, love you, bye.